Yeah. Yeah, that seems right. And then I made dinner. I read until after 8, and then I walked past the door and I saw it wasn't locked.
My name is Lauren Barker, and I'm the writer and director of Lock the Door Behind You.
What's your film about?
The movie is about a woman who realizes that she left her front door unlocked, and then she kind of descends into paranoia as she thinks that someone might have snuck into her house, and she can't figure out if someone's actually there, and so she's having a panic attack in her bathroom.
Was struck by this film visually and how you
Mhm.
portrayed the panic attack too. The sometimes triple image of certain things too. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty effective in that. How did you conceive the panic attack visually? Is that something you always had in your head, or is it something you worked through and got to that point visually?
I mean, I think I had it in my head a little bit, but in terms of when I was writing it, I wasn't quite sure how we would do it visually. And that came from my collaborators, mostly my director of photography, Jordan Biagumala, who had, the prism lenses and the different things that made that effect. And so he suggested that when we were talking about it and said that that might be a good way to kind of demonstrate visually how she was feeling and the panic and everything. And I really liked that idea. And then obviously also in editing, that that really helped just kind of bring that out, like moving quickly between images, kind of helped bring that panic as well.
Okay, Lexi. You can't stay in here forever.
Let's talk about your lead actress. Well, your only actress in the film.
Hmm.
How did you find her? And she's pretty good, and she pretty effective in displaying these emotions she's going through.
Right. So Stephanie Rose Quinnell is the actress, and she actually, I worked with her initially in 2016, I think. I filmed a short film with her, cast her in a film, and she just came to the open auditions that we had. And then after that, I actually cast her in a feature film that I made and released a couple years ago. So
Oh, you made a feature.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you just jump back and forth between features and short, depending on the subject you have in mind?
Yeah, definitely. And the feature film was great. I mean, I definitely want to make more features. That's my goal, but it's also just such a huge undertaking. I shot that in mostly in and around Milwaukee in 2018, and then did the whole post-production process and everything. And features obviously just take so much more because they have you're shooting a lot more pages and you have a lot more actors, locations, just everything. So you need more money, more resources, or more time to kind of
Yeah.
stretch things out if you don't have as many resources. So um, that's yeah, I definitely want to make more features, and I'm working on writing more feature-length screenplays right now. But yeah, short films are just like faster, and sometimes it's fun to just make a short film for me to explore an idea. And that's what I wanted to do with this one specifically. It was kind of an idea I had, and I didn't know quite how it would work visually, but I just wanted to try it and see how it came together.
Do you write your own material too, or have you collaborated with other people and used someone else's idea?
I usually write everything that I direct. I'd be open to collaborating in the future. I have co-written here and there, but usually I like to write something and then direct it and kind of keep shaping the story in that way.
You are from Madison, right?
Yes, yeah, I grew up in Madison. Yeah,
And now you live in Los Angeles.
yep, that's right.
How's a difference there between Madison filmmaking and Los Angeles?
I mean, it's really different. Here in Los Angeles, there's a lot more people doing it professionally. So it's definitely a different feel. I think people take it more seriously in that respect, just because people are trying to do it for their job. And I think people take me more seriously, even though I'm still working on like breaking in and making bigger projects. I think just saying I'm a writer and director and I've made a film and I'm doing this, I think people tend to just accept that because the industry is like based here. And in Madison, that's not the case. So there's a lot of people who are just like, oh, like you make films. Like I've never heard of that, or I've never met anyone who's done that. So it's very niche in Madison, and it's a lot smaller, obviously.
Is filmmaking something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, from a pretty young age, I kind of realized I was really visual in how I imagine things and how I was like playing with friends or even by myself, like creating ideas and creating different worlds. And so that just kind of evolved as I got older and started writing in various forms and genres, and then kind of realized that screenwriting was where I wanted to go specifically, again, because of that visual aspect.
Just to back up a little bit there, it sounds like you mentioned that screenwriting was what you first ventured into.
Hmm.
Now you're directing your own stuff that you produce. Was directing
Yes.
involved in that decision too, or did you just want to be a writer and you just moved into directing?
It kind of started like it started as for with a love of writing, like that's how it began for me. But I think it came pretty soon after that that I thought about it more and kind of understanding more about how films are made, where when you're directing something, you just have a little more power over how the story comes together. And you're in there, you know, talking to all the crew members and collaborating with people. Whereas sometimes, I mean, it can depend on the team and everything, but sometimes when you're only the screenwriter, you're kind of taking a back seat once things are in production, and you don't always have control or final say on how things get filmed or how the story kind of comes to life in that way. So that was a big reason why I was drawn to directing too.
It's okay. It's okay. You know you're overreacting. We've been working on this. It was nothing. You didn't hear anything, you imagined that. There's nobody inside this house besides you.
People say you write what you know. That's something you experience and put towards the script.
Yes and no. Like it didn't. It came from more of a fear that I had, which sometimes I do tend to put like things I'm afraid of into my writing more than anything. But it was something I worried about, just like someone like being in my house and not knowing.
That's
And
a common
so
fear too.
right, yeah. So just like thinking about that, and then kind of this idea kind of grew from that, where I've never like I've always been able to rationalize and like stop myself from having a
Mm.
panic attack, or even that fear like stopping me from going to bed, or something like that. Like I've always been able to kind of calm myself down and be like, hey, that's not real. Like my rational mind can overcome that, I guess. And I just kind of thought, like, what if I couldn't stop thinking about it, or I couldn't, you know, overcome that, and paranoia kind of took over. So that's where that's where the idea came from.
I mean, I ask that because it's a common feeling I think people have, because there's times where I'm sitting at home at night and I live in a small apartment, but
Right.
sometimes I'll be like, wait a minute, do I hear someone moving around? Oh,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, even yeah, like when I feel like it's different for me, at least when I'm living in an apartment versus like a house or
Mhm.
bigger space. Like when I'd be at my parents' house, like staying there, or when I was living there, I would think about that more because it's just like there's so many different rooms, and if you're there alone, it's like
Yeah.
someone could be in the basement or somewhere totally different, and you wouldn't notice if you didn't go into that room.
Yeah. Yeah. How's the film doing on the festival circuit?
Pretty good. It's played actually in two festivals here in LA, which is exciting because it was cool to. That was the first time I'd had anything play in LA, and I was able to attend because I live here now. So that was exciting, and I've submitted to a few other festivals like internationally. So yeah, it's got a couple. Yeah, it's doing okay. It's got a couple plays for sure.
So what's next for you?
So right now I'm doing a lot of writing, like I mentioned before, writing some feature-length screenplays. I am hoping to shoot a short film at some point this year. I've talked to some people who produce and act, and so I've got some ideas of people I can collaborate with. So I'm working on getting a team together for that, and then, like I said, writing some features. So I'm hoping to, in the next few years, start to meet with producers and hopefully get some investors and make a feature film like on a bigger scale. and hopefully get like some name talent and things like that.
Well,
So
wonderful. I wish
yeah,
you luck on that.
thank you.
Well, thank you for doing this today.
Of course, thank you for having me.